So the height rises for the platform of truth. In thereof, we have four concepts: space, time, concept, and matter. Space, time, matter, concept, and time all relate back to the same essential properties by which I was spoken for previously, latter. And previously latter, these spoken words were given to me by nature of conversation. So this has a monologue won't do as well, but at the same time, the latter is still existent in my property. And my property is given to itself new connotations of what it means. And some people are going to say, as I've heard critiques before, he's just talking nonsense or what have you. But I assure you that is not true. And to that, I must regard my hints of obligation within that. And my hints of obligation were given through the context of an explanation for uh, sign language, or language via nature of body language. So is it that equal to the first, or is that secondary? And the four concepts that I brought up were words, mathematics, quality, and concepts. So when I look at the concept, I see more in tune than I do with any other form of media. And with that media form, I see that words can spark up into concepts, and those concepts are basically words that are unseen by the naked eye but are seen by the ears. And those ears are usually blind to those concepts. And usually when someone wants that title, they will come at it with a different concept using words, mathematics, or quality. Quality is usually the worst of all three of those when it comes to power, because quality of power is given more or less as a relentless doom. Quality is therefore given as a relentless doom. Quality is therefore given as a relentless doom. And by that I mean there is more pain obligation in that than there is pleasure. But that could even be manifested in different qualities via love, compassion, avarice, or any emotional spectrum of the Green Lantern Corps. The Green Lantern Corps allows for us to see these lights. And these lights are given but in the end, the beginnings are equal to the ends. And the beginning of the ends is birth versus death. And so that's why quality has a strong connotation on the power issue. But on the media issue, I would say that we have stronger connotations towards allowing ourselves to become one with both birth and death, because neither of those things are absolute or true. And by that I mean we have concepts which create or ramble different concepts in your head, and these concepts could be brought in back again and again. And these concepts were given in a poem I spoke, and that I'm speaking with lay English, or what we call English. And those things are essential to most phenomenon. And those two parts that I spoke about in the poem are essential to both birth and death. And birth and death are both very interesting concepts, because when we have a birth, we see a new light. When we have a death, we see a new light. Is that true? I don't know. I do know that life alone sees a new light by the nature of the seven concepts. But if there are seven concepts, that is only the seven concepts, not seven seals, but seven concepts of the Green Lantern Corps, which I spoke about previously. So, to speak about those things again in a different context, I don't understand what those seven seals are, because I'm not biblically historic in any form, but I am relentless towards a God, and that God is not the ends, but he is the beginnings. And how is that true? How is there no ends, but there are beginnings? Well, we could look at the world and say that there is beginnings to everything. for example, beginnings to what happens in reality, beginnings to a new joy, beginnings to the now, and then the now comes in, and then when the now comes in, it becomes something like, what the fuck is that? And we live in it, yet it's like quality. We cannot see it, yet it is the most blissful and most painful of all the things. Yet words come into play, because when words come into play, then we are able to abstract concepts, and concepts hold stronger reign than words. And by that I mean we cannot literally see some things, but words allow us to convey whole concepts, and those whole concepts are both concepts and words. So if I'm allowing for that to be true, then we have birth and death, and life and death at the same hand. And basically what I'm trying to say is birth and death, birth is usually propagated through words. When we look at a word, we look at different examples. For example, we look at the word of the Bible, or we look at the word of poetry, or we look at the word of rap, and we see a lot of crucial moments in those things, a lot of distinctive factors within those concepts. But then we look at the world of mathematics, and we see an equally and drastic change in ideals and concepts. And it's then quality and quantity. And when we have quality versus quantity, it is as if we see the world in two dimensions, because we have the dimensional plane that is what we see qualitatively, and what we see qualitatively is in essence something that is like a color, and that color exists in a two-dimensional plane, or in a one-dimensional plane. One dimension meaning that it is, in fact, quality is one dimension. And I just thought of that right now. But at the same time, it is one dimension because it holds no space and it holds no time. So, therefore, that is the one singular dimension, is quality. And why is there so much levels of quality? Well, there are so much levels of quality because when we look at it, we see that there are, in essence, so much levels of quantity, which is the two dimensions and three-dimensional planes. And the three-dimensional planes is stronger than the two-dimensional planes in most respects. Not in all respects, but in most respects. And that is because we could see a complexion of what it is, but the two dimensions is needed in the three-dimensional world. So, two dimensions mixes with three dimensions, for one dimension meshes with that, and then we of course have time. But I'm not speaking about time right now. I'm speaking more about the essence of what it is my words actually mean. And what my words actually mean is a conception of mathematics, concept, time, words, space, and I don't even know if I said that in the same order as I did previously, and if I did, that would be a radical phenomena. But and this is unedited footage, I guess you could say. But at the same time, it doesn't matter if it's edited or not, as long as the message is being conveyed. And that message that is being conveyed should be strong enough to weigh one person this way or the next. And by the two-dimensional plane, I mean we see everything in one and two dimensions, yet then we kind of stretch with graphing and mathematics the reality. So I see the space between this object and that object, and just like I can't see the back of a cup, I do see that the cup exists. And the fact that that cup exists is, in essence, enough to make it true. And by the meaning of the cup existing is, I see the surface of the cup. I don't see the back of the cup, but the surface of the cup alone allows me to see the back of the cup. So, in that nature, we then see things conceptually. And conceptually, we have that which came before. And that's what I am intending for the argument. So this is actually tied around one concept. And that one concept is what my birth has become. And my birth was also talked about as a great thing. So, what was the great thing? Words. Words are great things. So is mathematics, which were equally combated within my form of conversation. Qualia, then again, comes